What is happening, guys? Welcome to the Dynasty WarZone, the People's Dynasty podcast. On today's show, we're going to do it year two. Speaking of year two, it's Dynasty, Surge, or Purge for last year's rookie class. I've still not managed to purge this guy. He is my co-host. He is the man of the hour and the man with the power. Jerry Sinclair, buddy, how are you?
Yeah, you're not efficient in purging me, which is wild because if
I've been trying for 7 years.
If there was an actual purge, I would be dead in like 4 minutes.
Yeah, people
I would be stuck in the bathroom because I'd be so nervous for the first three. Moment I'm out of there, after I'm done with the nervous poop, dead for sure.
Speaking of nervous and like surge and fighting and protecting, I thought about you last night. The UFC had a big event. Had to have been crazy at your place of employment.
It was
tough night at the office for Uncle Jer.
Yeah, we had probably 400 people in the building until after we closed.
Now, I have a question for you. Do like fights break out like amongst the patrons? Not our patrons, not at patreon.com/Dynasty WarZone. Those are good patrons. I'm talking about the patrons of the essentially it's like a giant Dave and Buster's meets the outdoor top golf.
Sort of.
It meets that sort of a place. So you guys have bouncers?
No.
Security?
You are looking at the bouncer, all 5'10".
Well, now I know why you don't need them. Explains a lot.
But no, I mean, when I first started, there were some guys that they were yapping, but guys that yap aren't going to fight. I jumped on a table, told them to get the F out. You walk out that way, you walk out that way. And that was that. Other than that, most people are usually pretty chill. They're rude. That's a listen. I don't want to generalize all UFC fans. Stop being dicks to servers. Like what in the hell is wrong with you?
Stop wearing jeans with the big white stitching and rhinestones on the back. How about we knock that off too?
Yeah,
and tip better. Treat the servers better. How about that?
Yeah, no, it was a shit show for sure. It's always fun because I like when sports give people that giant emotion where they can just react and it's just explosive. I love that. And UFC fans, they do make it a nice environment to be there. It just sucks for me because I gotta stay there until the fights end. And if nobody gets a first round knockout, then I'm in that bitch till 1 a.m.
Yeah, the patrons that watch you, I don't want to generalize. I don't want to paint with a broad brush, Jerry. But how about you don't go to the Buckle one weekend and use that money to take care of your server? How about that? Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, or just be nice to them.
They're
literally just trying to get you drunk.
All right. Well, I'm having fun, and I'm a UFC fan. I'm having fun at my own people's expense. Let's learn something about Underdog.
This episode is made possible by Underdog Fantasy, and Underdog Fantasy is the leader in best ball. When you go to join an Underdog Fantasy best ball draft, it fills very quickly. Especially now, it's Best Ball Mania season, baby. Best Ball Mania 5. I can't believe they're at Best Ball Mania 5 already. $15 million in prizes. They're giving out $15 million with $1.5 million to first. Playing in best ball leagues makes you better. It helps train you on player value and strategy. And Underdog offers a lot more than just best ball contests. They offer pick'ems. My new favorite, the golf pick'ems. But they have the NBA pick'ems, baseball pick'ems going on throughout the offseason. Hit the pick'ems, back to best ball, hit the pick'ems. So use promo code Underworld. Promo code Underworld gets you a 50% deposit bonus up to $250. So they've increased the maximum deposit bonus. It was $100. Now it's up to $125. When you get the Underdog app, use promo code Underworld and go draft your ass off.
So speaking of going to draft your ass off, last Monday, and the show's out now, it's Tyler Knabley. If you don't know Tyler, he is a producer for the Podfather shows, the Mind of Mansion, the Sonic Truth, etc. And I met him when we went to Michigan for the draft. He has his own YouTube channel. Great kid. And I don't want to ruin the Underdog business, but Tyler and I drafted the winner. We drafted a Best Ball Mania 5 winner. I'm just waiting for the money. I'm just going to wait for the money for them to show up, and Tyler and I can chop up 1.5 million. But I bring that up because he's got a YouTube channel, and he's got like 600 subscribers. And we were talking before we hit the record button, as we often do in the podcast game. And he asked me if I knew what a shiesty was. Jerry, do you know what a shiesty is?
I mean, I don't. In
Well,
this context, I don't think.
It's odd that the old guy knows what a shiesty is and you don't. Shiesty is the black ski masks made famous by rapper Pooh Shiesty. Now, I have the advantage of hanging out with a bunch of 16-year-olds, like when we play baseball, and you know, like it's hotter than blue blazes outside, and a couple of these kids will show up with these goddamn things on. But anyway, we were talking about the Shiesty, and he was like,
his name really is Pooh Shiesty.
Pooh Shiesty out of Memphis. Google him if you don't know. You know. Check out Pooh Shiesty, and he was like, "What would it take for me to get you to come back on this show and co-host in a Shiesty?" Essentially a black ski mask.
It's a head condom.
It's a ski. It's technically a ski mask, but anyway, I was like, if you have 1,000 subscribers to your YouTube channel by week 1 of the NFL season, 1,000. I was like, I'm going to promote this. I want you to come, and I want you to hit 1,000. So I was like, if you do, I will come back week 1. And I will do the entire show in a shiesty. That's the agreement.
It's not going to be your look. I'm going to be honest with you. So I do hope that it happens.
Jerry, I can still get down. I'm thugging and bugging. I can do this. So help out Tyler. The show is the Best Ball Barbecue. If you go to YouTube, you search Best Ball Barbecue. It's Tyler Knabley. He's a great kid. And yes, I read the comments. Dirty Bird Dynasty. He's like, best ball ? Exclamation point. Yes, we all know Dynasty is king. We all know that is the people's format, but best ball's fun. It's like sometimes you just want to draft for $5 or $25. It's fun. It's just fun. You know, people treat it like an investment. Dude, Theo, our boy Dan Williamson, we need to get Dan back on. You know, those guys play best ball for big money, and they treat it like an investment. Like they have like ROI and the whole 9 yards. But anyway, that's just a little promotion for my boy Tyler. If you want to see me rock a shiesty, go to Best Ball Barbecue, subscribe to the YouTube channel, help him get to 1,000, and then I'll be rocking a shiesty back on his channel. All right, Jerry, let's get into good people, bad tweets, because this is the most unique good people, bad tweets I think we've ever had. Would you agree? Because we did a little pre-show.
It is because there's a lot to unwrap with it.
It is a lot. It is a lot to unpack. So this starts. So there's technically. So the tweet was from a gentleman named Dan Mitchell. Now Dan, I didn't realize this at the time. Dan does stuff for a couple of sites. I'm not going to give him a plug because they don't deserve it. But if you want to find him, he's at Real Dan Mitchell on Twitter. And he was talking about a Dynasty content creator named Jagger May's Dynasty rankings. And I don't love Jagger May's Dynasty rankings. But old Dan, and it says worst wide receiver rankings of all time. And he goes into this 1.5-minute diatribe about how bad these are. And like, you can tell that this guy has never played Dynasty in his entire life. And I listened to the entire 1.5-minute tweet, and I'm not going to play it here because if you guys want to find him, May 22nd at Real Dan Mitchell. And like he tears into these rankings, but he's never played Dynasty, Jerry. Talking about where's Stephon Diggs? Why is Tyreek Hill so low?
Yeah, no, I gave Homeboy probably good 25 seconds of my time. And then I realized he didn't read at the top where it says Dynasty, or he just doesn't know what that is. And also, as a person with another punchable face, he's got a punchable face too. So
he looks like Sam Darnold. No, I like Sam Darnold.
Actually, he really does. Now I'm looking at him right now. He does sort of look like Sam Darnold.
He looks like the weird love child of Sam Darnold and Carson Palmer. But regardless, very punchable face.
Yes,
extremely,
and I have one too, face. Dan. So don't think anything else of it. But
I don't mind taking someone's rankings to town. I don't mind that, but at least know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah,
I mean, if you want to say Puka Nacua at 11 is too low in your dynasty rankings, we're going to talk about Puka in this sophomore surge and purge show. if you want to say 11's too low, why is Puka behind Roma Dunze? Because that was my reaction to Dan's tweet. I'm like, somehow this son of a bitch managed to out both of them. They pointed out the blunders of both of their work. Yeah, Roma Dunze a little high ahead of Puka. Brandon Ayuk 9. Garrett Wilson 4. Jerry, I think I'm as much of a Garrett Wilson apologist as anybody. And he certainly has the potential. But I don't think I can put him at 4.
No, ahead of Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
Anyway, this man goes on it. It's it's a minute and a half, so we're not going to play the video, like the whole video or anything.
Yeah, we're not going to give him that.
But if you do decide to venture down that rabbit hole, and listen to some of the things he said, it's clear that he just was not aware of what he was doing, or he was just trying to demean this man just to do it because he differs on opinion. And I'm gonna differ on some of those opinions too, but I'm also not gonna make a video calling them the worst wide receiver rankings of all time, when really this Jagger May clearly just believes in Garrett Wilson. Not something I do, but I've been wrong before, friends. I mean, I don't know. He just showed his ass.
To me, it's like rankings are rankings. They're individual. They're like snowflakes. They're like fingerprints. Everybody has their own. And that's okay. We're not always going to agree. But to take someone to task and not have all of the facts and coming in from the right perspective, that makes you kind of douchebaggy. I think that's the word. And then if you want to know whose side I'm going to lean to between Jagger May and Mr. Mitchell here, I'm going with Jagger May. If you want to know what kind of a knucklehead Mr. Mitchell is, go to his tweet from June 1st, where he talks about the Broncos need to make it Zach Wilson season. Sir, that might be one of the worst tweets I've ever seen. That's way worse than these rankings.
No. We've seen lots of good things from Zach Wilson.
Yeah. You know what? It was so good that he made Mark Sanchez look like a good quarterback for the New York Jets.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah, no. Zach Wilson should not be the starting quarterback there. So there is a difference of opinion. But if you want to know, so he comes complaining about where Stephon Diggs is and Tyreek Hill's way down at 15 and blah 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 blah. Whatever. Jagger May's response. Great stuff, bro. FYI, these are fantasy, specifically dynasty rankings per the graphic. Like, if they say per my last email, per the graphic, that's like the nice guy way of saying go fuck yourself. You didn't pay attention. You didn't listen to me. Go fuck yourself. So I give him credit for that.
Well, this is Mr. Mitchell's maiden voyage on good people, bad tweets. But I just scrolling through his timeline. This is what you call like a honey hole, like a fishing spot that you would that you wouldn't share with your buddy. Jerry, I'm Southern. It's like it just means like a good fishing spot that you wouldn't tell your buddy about because you always go there. You have great success. That's what this guy's timeline is for good people, bad tweets. The next time I'm scuffling to come up with a good people, bad tweets, I'm going right to his timeline. It's the first stop. Can't stop. So we have to give him something. We have to give him a little Dana White, Jerry. What do you think about this one?
Cocaine isn't cheap. It's expensive. Got to make money.
Thanks, Dana.
Yep.
The Crip Mac on hood.
There you go. That's good people. That's bad tweets, Jerry. Let's jump into Dynasty Sophomore Surge or Purge. Now, what this means for if it's not obvious enough is we're going to go through a list of sophomores, last year's rookie class, and we're going to talk about, do we think their dynasty value is going to surge, or are they a player we need to purge from our roster? You essentially get while the getting's good. Jerry, do you have a name you want to throw out there to get this party started?
Well, let's start with the big guy from the class. Let's just go Puka, since we've already sort of talked about him in the rankings. You care? You want to go? Do you think he's surging or purging?
Here's the thing. When I sent the list out, and I shared this list earlier in the day as I was doing the research with our patrons over at patreon.com/Dynasty WarZone. And I was like, I'm not advocating getting rid of Puka. But what I'm asking is what happens if Cooper Kupp stays healthy, which he hasn't done in a couple of years. But what if Cooper Kupp stays healthy and he reverts back to being Matt Stafford's BFF. He goes back to hogging all the oxygen out of the room, and Puka winds up with a middle of the road season. And the best stat line that I heard was Joe, one of our patrons in the chat, said, I would be happy if I got 1,007 out of Puka. And I think that's fair if you drafted Puka as a rookie, right? If you drafted him a year and a half ago and you paid a third or you paid a fourth or whatever in your rookie draft and you got Puka, then yes, in his sophomore year, you can live with 1,007. But we looked at the rankings of both Dynasty Pros and Player Profiler before we hit the record button, and both sites have Puka as wide receiver 8, which means in your startup 3 months ago in March, you drafted Puka as the wide receiver 8. How are you going to feel if he has 1,007 when he's in the neighborhood of guys like Malik Neighbors? He's in the neighborhood of guys like A.J. Brown in both rankings. So it's not that I'm advocating selling him, but, rookie receiving record, 105 catches. I'm just saying it's how high can high be with him?
When you draft him this offseason, you need better than 1,007. I mean, for that to not completely crater, the value that you drafted him at. You need 1,200, maybe more, 1,206 or 7, 8 touchdowns to make it worth that pick. I am not so sure that Cooper Kupp is just going to have much of an impact. Like, if we're going to hate on somebody down the stretch because of how poorly they did, someone like Tua, conversely, when somebody goes for 105 and a tutty, 84, 50, and then it's your semifinals and he drops 9 catches for 164 yards in a tutty, championship week, 5 catches, 118 yards, and then in the playoff game, granted, it was against the old Detroit Lions secondary, went absolutely bananas in that game too. Even when Cooper Kupp was back, Puka Nacua was the guy. So I'm not going to be mad at anybody who is not confident that it's repeatable. So if you want to sell him for those elite type prices, totally fine with it. And if I saw him regress to 1,200 yards, I wouldn't be all that surprised either. And if he does, his value will dip 100% for sure, but it won't dip tremendously because it at least will be stable. You'll at least have seen multiple seasons of elite and very good production, which is going to prove that going forward, nobody's going to get in his way and Matthew Stafford is going to love him and that's going to be the guy. I think he is the one guy that we're going to talk about that is neither a surge or a purge. He's definitely not going to improve. Like he's not going for 1,800 yards.
Well, he had 1,500.
I know, that's what I mean. I don't think he's going to improve on that. Like I think he'll regress for sure, but I still think he's an absolute anchor of a piece for your dynasty teams. Also, just I don't think there's a situation where you're going to purge him. Honestly,
no. I'm again, we're not talking about purge him. He's so polarizing, and we're not going to, but we could throw CJ Stroud in here because he had such a good rookie season in his own right. But the difference is that CJ Stroud is very pedigreed. He came out with what was he the 3rd overall pick, if I remember correctly. He's bona fide, whereas Puka is this mid-round pick who came out of nowhere. He was a mid-round NFL pick. He was a mid-round dynasty pick. And the guy had 105 catches for 1,486 yards and 6 touchdowns. I will say he could maybe get the touchdowns up to 10 and afford to go back 250 yards.
The being the mid-round dynasty pick is what causes everybody to have speculations.
It makes you apprehensive. That's why I brought
100%.
Again.
If he was taken at 109 in your rookie class, dude's values through the roof. Nobody's worrying about him. Yeah, nobody's worrying about him repeating. It's just when they come out of nowhere like that, everybody is just skeptical. Well, maybe that was a lucky season.
Well, let me throw something else, because we talked about this in the group chat today on the opposite end of the spectrum. if Puka comes out and again goes for, let's say, instead of 105, he goes for 95. Instead of 1486, he goes for 1300 flat and 8 touchdowns. And has a top
Star.
5 wide receiver. He is locked in. He is locked in. He is wide receiver 5-6. And as long as Matthew Stafford's there, as long as Sean McVay's the coach, he is locked in. If he does it and he even gets within 10% of all those metrics with Cooper Kupp playing, especially if Cooper Kupp plays all the games and Cooper Kupp starts becoming the second wide receiver, essentially the Devonta Smith to Puka's A.J. Brown. Now you've got a rocket ship on your hands. So this does go both ways. I just thought Puka was so polarizing that he deserved his own little segment of Surge or Purge.
So who do you want to pick on?
Well, I want to go positive because I love our friend base here at the Dynasty WarZone. So I want to go Surge, and I want to talk Kendre Miller.
Okay.
Now, Kendre Miller was a guy that I was super high on last year. We know the Saints. Let me ask you a question. Out of all the running backs drafted in that draft class, he was RB what? He was RB number what off the board?
I don't know, 4, 5, 6.
He was 4. Yeah, he was 4. Bijan Gibbs, and I'm drawing a blank on who was the third guy, but he was the 4th running back off the board in this class. He was a big part of the reason why TCU made the national championship game that year. And I love Alvin Kamara. If you're a contender, he could catch a bajillion footballs in this offense this year. But I will tell you this. So you always lean on experts. And I don't think anyone knows the college game better than, they may know it as well as, but not many people know the game better than Nino Brown. Multiple time guest here on the show. Nino loves the college game. He loves the pro game, but he really knows the college game. So I shot him a DM today. I'm like, hey man, what do you think about Kendre Miller in this Kubiak offense? And the message I got back from Nino was, I think he could actually be a 3-down back in this system. Kind of like a CJ Anderson or a Ronnie Hillman was in Gary Kubiak's dad in his system. And that's why I want Kendre Miller. I see it in the group chat. Kamara can't rush the ball. He doesn't rush it like he used to. He could still be a valuable weapon, but as good as Kamara was last year, how shocked would you be if he became this year's Austin Eckler, a guy who lit up the previous season and then grossly disappoints in the next season? And then all of a sudden you get the emergence of a guy like Kendre Miller. That's why I like Kendre Miller. I don't think he's going to be a starter, but I'm starting to hear this. I was listening to another podcast the other day and someone mentioned Kendre Miller. And we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, but it's one of those things. It's worth repeating. It's June. We're going to get into camp. He's going to be healthy. He had an entire offseason in the program. And all of a sudden people are going to be like, oh yeah, go get him now before the price gets any higher.
I can agree with all of that. I am skeptical that Alvin Kamara is always going to get the first opportunity while he breathes. As long as he wears that fleur-de-lis helmet, he is going to be the guy that gets the first crack at it, which makes Kendre Miller sort of injury dependent on him. But I like Kendre Miller a lot, and I think Alvin Kamara is definitely on his way out. And it seems like it's going to be one of those frustrating situations like Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott were, where Tony Pollard was clearly the better, more efficient running back when Zeke was there, but Zeke just kept getting the runs because he's freaking Zeke. I'm for it because if Alvin Kamara should get hurt, which he doesn't often, but if he does, you could flip Kendre Miller if you don't believe in him, get a second for him, because does his production dictate that he is worth a second? No. We've seen exactly one game where he had 13 carries for 73 yards and a tutty, and that's about all we've seen that was worth a damn. So that's technically a profit. Or you just believe in the man. You don't think he's going to get replaced. You think he's going to be 1A going into next year. You profit either way. His acquisition cost right now is low. He's not the new sexy rookie. Second-year guys are the least sexy people in the eyes of dynasty managers because they're no longer rookies. And we talked about them ad nauseum for an entire offseason. And then as rookies, we all want them to pop. And if they don't pop or they don't play a ton, like Kendre Miller, back of everybody's head. And you didn't start him. He didn't win you any games. The one game he played was after the championship, the meaningless week 18. So nobody had him in. He's just sat on everybody's bench, which means nobody loves him, which means you can go out and get him. I'm all for that. I don't see a downside. Whatever you're going to pay, if you lose it and he doesn't end up amounting to anything, what are you losing?
I mean, if your rookie draft's not went on, you can probably get him for a third.
100%.
And I looked, the running back that went third in the draft class was Zach Charbonnet.
Oh, yeah.
So it went it went Bijan, Gibbs, Charbonnet, Miller. I just think he's a talented guy. And he didn't play a bunch. He's currently RB 50. He doesn't have combine metrics, 40 or whatever, because he was injured. He only played 8 games. And if I remember right, he got hurt either right before or right after that college playoff run. So he came in, didn't get much in OTAs, didn't get much in camp. They signed Jamal Williams as the backup. I just think he's a guy that you're going to start seeing more of. And we got John Hendricks in the YouTube live chat talking about week 18. He had a 36% snap percentage. In week 16, he had a 36% snap percentage. So he's going to start getting a little bit of run. Worst case scenario, you go get him now, and he's next year's Zamir White. And he's someone that you can hold for a year and flip. And I do believe you're going to see a little bit more of this guy this year. Maybe it's like a 60-40, maybe a 60-35-5 with a little Jamal Williams.
That's exponentially better than what we saw last year. And it's exponentially better than what his value is now. So, I mean, that's just profit.
He's the kind of guy that, like, if you're in a like a quarter point per carry league, which is a league, you and I are both in a version of that, he could be very useful in a format like that because he's going to be, he'll be the between the 20s guy pounding the rock. He was my guy. I wanted to bring him up. I'm pretty bullish on him. Do you have someone you want to bring up?
I do. The man, the myth, the legend, the infamous one himself, Quentin Johnston. Randy,
on the show's thumbnail, courtesy of our friend Brittany. Brittany always makes our thumbnails, and I was like, "Hey, sophomore Surge or Purge." You couldn't have a thumbnail of Surge or Purge without Quentin Nelson. We're keeping. I'm a Colts fan. Quentin Johnston. We are going to talk about the other person on the thumbnail here in just a second.
I think he surges, Randy. Like, I don't think he's going to win you leagues. I don't think he's going to be a wide receiver 1. What does Quentin Johnston cost right now? Is there a person in Dynasty right now who is less popular than Quentin Johnston? And that's an honest question.
I'm trying to find him currently. Just found him in the player profiler Dynasty rankings.
Yeah. Did you have to go down
it
to
starts
the
with a $7?
$1? Yeah.
How about this? It starts with a 7, and he's not number 7. So
Yeah.
you do the math. He's in the range of Wan'Dale Robinson, Demario Douglas, Josh Palmer, his teammate, guys behind Curtis Samuel. You're down bad when you're behind Romeo Dubes, Dontavian Wicks. That's where we're at right now. So, Jerry, you used to do some drinking, right?
I mean, I have.
You ever have like?
I went to a state school, of course.
You ever have one too many?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You ever been so drunk you thought you were going to fall off the floor?
I mean,
well, see, that's the thing is because you can't.
Oregon game comes to mind.
You can't fall off the floor. That's Quentin Johnston. That's the case for your buy. He's hit rock bottom. Now, if you get him cheap enough and he winds up being N'Keal Harry or Treylon Burks or one of those guys, that's okay. But if you want to take a shot that on a guy that was last year going like 109, 110 in Superflex, tight end premium rookie drafts last year, that's nothing but pure profit if he even has a decent season. Is that where you were going?
Yeah, 100%. He's like the bargain. I mean, this is going to date myself a little bit for some of you younger listeners, but it's like a bargain bin at like a grocery store DVD bin where it's like $3 and
For the
there's like,
younger listeners, you have to explain what a DVD is.
yeah, well, that's what I mean. And it'll just be like, $3 DVDs. There's like 12,000 different ones in there. If you reach down in there and you grab rounders, that's a value. You got yourself a value because that's an absolute gem. I don't think Quentin Johnston's going to be rounders, but
What if you reach in and pull out like a Steven Seagal direct to DVD movie?
Well, I mean, but then you only spent $3 and it's 2024. What's the $3 get you? But I mean, we're talking about a dude who had 450 yards. Like he was absolutely just bottom of the barrel butt juice for your dynasty teams. Keenan Allen is gone. It's the competition is, listen, I know everybody loves Ladd McConkey. You know why people like Ladd McConkey? Ready? Because he's not Quentin Johnston. And because Quentin Johnston made people look stupid last year. If he's better than him, which he got drafted earlier, he was more productive than him in college. He did it on the highest level too. He's going to be the guy in a Justin Herbert offense. Like, yes, Jim Harbaugh is going to run the damn ball, but listen, DJ Chark, Ladd McConkey, like, there's a real opportunity for him to be the best guy. Does that mean he's going to go for 1,100, 1,200 yards? No. But if he has 900 yards and he has 5 touchdowns, there's going to be some weeks where I can plug him in, and I made money on it because right now in rookie drafts, you could probably get that man for a mid to a late third or even later.
Yeah, he's the one that I would initially go after in a combo trade. I would try to get him to be the guy who like is like the throw-in piece that closes a deal.
Exactly.
I'm not going to go directly for him because if you have any kind of a reputation in your league as a savvy player, maybe you're listening to the Dynasty WarZone on the Player Profiler Network. You've probably done well in your leagues. So it's going to be a tell. Jerry mentioned rounders. It's going to be, a tell if you just go in and offer a third for Quentin Johnston. But send another trade. Send a trade maybe that you'd be more than happy to get done if you got it done. But if it gets rejected, then you can come back and say, hey, maybe you go get 2 wide receivers for 1 or whatever it is and say, well, I'm just trying to add some wide receiver depth. What would you take for just Quentin Johnston? I'm just looking for some depth.
And
you can't make it obvious
because I have acquired quite a bit of Quentin Johnston. And like, I just want to repeat, like, I don't think this man is going to be an absolute demon. I just, the path to him increasing in value is there, which is why I have acquired so much. On my contending teams, I'm trading my second away and I'm getting a third in Quentin Johnston. And it has worked half a dozen times. What do I care about dropping 8 places from the 18th best rookie to the 28th best rookie? I don't care. It's fine. They're all dart throws at that point anyway. Don't lie to yourself. So I'll take 2 dart throws and I'll take his situation. And if he's poop, okay, I dropped 8-10 spots in a rookie draft from late to later. I'm cool with that.
And I want to dispel this thought out there that the Chargers are just going to run the ball and play defense.
Which they will.
Do you know how bad their defense was?
Yeah.
They were in the bottom quartile in yards allowed. They gave up 6,170 yards. And they had to, speaking of purge, they had to purge players because they were so cap mismanaged. Okay. And they gave up, I'm looking at it right here, 24th most, I guess the 8th most points in the league, gave up 400 points. When your defense gives up 400 points, guess what you have to do? You have to score 401. That's how it works. So you can't be a run the ball team and play defense when your defense is shit and you're behind. So there's this big misnomer that there's not going to be a lot of pass attempts going around for the LA Chargers. You're kidding yourself. Maybe it's Quentin Johnston. I'm not a big Quentin Johnston guy, but I understand. Because if he hits, the Quentin Johnston truthers are going to be like, we're so back, baby. We are so back. We are back up and ready for business. So he could also, not only could he help you in 2024, he could be a nice flip. He could be a nice flip. And, you know, people, now he wasn't, he could, I'm not saying he's going to be Nico Collins, but.
Well, no shit.
Well, dude, Nico sucked ass for his first 2 years.
He did.
He didn't have 500 yards receiving.
And if you want to talk about somebody who's sort of a similar player, I hear you. But it's just
under who did Nico flourish in college?
Jim Harbaugh.
Well, I was just checking. I just want to make sure I was on the right track.
Listen, everybody's talking about how they drafted people in the draft. They took Ladd McConkey and 2 7th rounders. I mean, Cornelius Johnson went to Michigan and didn't do a fucking thing at Michigan with Jim Harbaugh. Now he's going to come into the league and do anything? No, get out of here. Brandon Rice. I mean, that's another 7th round pick. Like, and DJ Chark. Listen, if you want to acquire DJ Chark, go ahead. He's going to be your cheapest option, probably. And he has a chance to be the absolute guy, and he's probably free. But if you're scared of DJ Chark or any of those players, no. There's also a chance they're all just bad. I'm not throwing that out of the realm of possibilities either.
I mean, we're in the YouTube live chat discussing whether or not Hayden Hurst or Donald Parham is the tight end of record. I would look at who has better blocking metrics.
Situation. That's what I mean. It's a bad situation. So the opportunity is there, and if he can't do it, then yes, he's dog shit. Like I'm not going to argue against that.
I don't want Ladd McConkey.
This man was a first-round wide receiver who is in a situation where he could potentially be the wide receiver 1 with Justin Herbert, and he cost you a 3rd. Like, yes, it could. You could set that pick on fire, but you're going to set most 3rd-round picks on fire. It's an easy acquisition.
Nope, I
love
agree.
You all. I appreciate the conversation also.
No,
and I knew I was going to get shit for that one because people hate Quentin Johnston, and I hated Quentin Johnston. I've said it on this show 12 bajillion times that I was not a fan of Quentin Johnston. I hated him as a prospect, and I didn't want him. Situation's changed a little bit so that I can get increased value, and he is cheaper for me.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump into one more rookie. Let's jump into Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Okay,
Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm looking right at the player profiler rankings. He is wide receiver 22. Before we get into Surge or Purge, let's play Dynasty Rookie Would You Rather. How about this or Dynasty Would You Rather? Okay. I'm going to give you some guys above and some guys below. Zay Flowers or JSN.
JSN, but that's because I don't like Zay Flowers either.
Okay, Rashee Rice or Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Oh my God, you're just making me pick dirt and dirtier. I'll take JSN.
Okay, George Pickens. Oh, okay. DK Metcalf.
Stop. DK Metcalf by a lot.
Sir, I'm just reading the list. Tank Dell. I agree.
I don't care that Nico got the money. I'm still taking Tank Dell.
Nico is also in that little bit of a range. Nico.
Nico.
Okay. See, I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is just living off of that helmet. He is just living off of that Ohio State Buckeye. And here's the thing. When was the last time you saw him play what you would consider to be elite football? Was it 2021?
Yeah.
Because he missed 2022 because he was hurt, and he didn't play well in the pros in 2023. So it's been a hot minute. It's been a hot minute since he's had a good season. I traded him recently in a league where I should be contending, and I have TJ Hawkinson. You ever heard of him? You're probably a fan. I traded, so I have TJ Hawkinson, but I need another tight end. So I traded JSN for Pat Freiermuth, who I like. I've mentioned as a buy, and Marvin Mims, who we're going to discuss here in a minute.
I hate that trade, but That's also because I just.
Well, you're the guy who trades for Tua, so that's a completely different conversation.
Sorry, I want a QB 9 last year on my
at
team.
QB 5 prices.
Marvin
Woo!
Mims. But I also don't. Here's the thing. I think JSN's good. I think JSN, if he was in a better situation, like if it was JSN versus Quentin Johnston in LA.
Well, come
oh my
on.
God.
Come
I'm not
on,
even. I'm not.
come
I know.
on.
Let me just.
It's like, do you want a ham sandwich or a pile of trash off the ground?
I know, but that's what I'm saying. I don't necessarily think the problem is JSN. If the problem with Quentin Johnston, if there is one, it's gonna be Quentin Johnston. I don't think that's the situation with Jackson, but everything that's surrounding him suggests not conducive to me putting him in during my playoffs. I'm sorry. So I only like JSN. I don't know. I'm purging him. I'm sorry.
I'm not keeping him either. I already have.
I want to argue for him because I want to believe that the talent. But how does the situation change, Randy? Okay, so either they're mediocre.
Lockett has to get hurt. I think even if DK gets hurt, it doesn't help.
I mean, even going forward, like Geno has to do what? He's going to be mediocre because he's Geno Smith. So they're not going to pick early. So they're not going to have a great quarterback into the future. Okay, so then I'm going to have another bad quarterback or a bridge quarterback. So that's not conducive for him. Or Geno's bad. And then I have to deal with him having Geno being bad. And then he's going to get replaced. Let's say it's by a good quarterback. But then I have a rookie quarterback to deal with in upcoming rookie quarterback classes that are not as good as we have seen in recent years. There's nothing in the foreseeable future that suggests this guy's going to have an emergence. So no, I have to purge him.
I will also say this. I'm a little concerned about what the new offense looks like under a new head coach. Because the new head coach is a defensive coordinator, come over from Baltimore. Seattle's got a decent defense. And this is another situation. You would have to be equally down on the Seattle offense, and they don't have Justin Herbert. I do want to transition, but I got to tell you, you tickled me when you were talking about Quentin Johnston. When you said the problem with Quentin Johnston is he's Quentin Johnston. For some reason, the Taylor Swift song, "Hi, it's me, I'm the problem, it's me," popped in my head, and I was like, that might be Quentin Johnston's theme song.
It's true though. He's, if anyone gets in his way, it's him. JSN at least has a bunch of competition. And sorry, my phone died. Usually I always keep our YouTube up so I can chat in it, but it died. So I have my YouTube up like in a window here, and I saw my arms flailing around while I was ranting.
Well, let's take a minute to collect ourselves.
Yeah, I got to take a breath
and hear about the Dynasty Dominator.
Now, I know many of you are looking for a secret weapon for your Dynasty League, and I have it. It's called the Dynasty Dominator app. You go to the App Store, go to Google Play. It's right there. It's $5 to download, and then every year it's $5 to load the next incoming class of rookies. You can add Superflex, add tight end premium. It's incredible because it allows you to look up players. It allows you to vote on whether a player is a buy, hold, or sell, and then see the market sentiment on that player. And you can compare their lifetime value rating from Player Profiler to their Dynasty ADP at the FFPC, all in the price lookup tool. And beyond that, we have a trade analyzer, so you'll never lose another Dynasty trade again. And in our settings, you can set this is a win now team, this is a rebuilding team, and then we let you compare players. Look at their metrics side by side, prospect metrics, NFL metrics. It's all there. It's $5 in the App Store. There's some add-ons for Superflex and to buy the upcoming rookie class. Every year, you're going to spend $5 on this thing, and it's going to be well worth it.
$5, yeah. The coffee I bought at the day was more than $5. But anyway, Dynasty Dominator, Jerry. I want to get into quarterbacks. We're getting toward the back third of the show here, and I want to get into quarterbacks because I know how I feel. I want to know how you feel about Will Levis.
I'm just gonna quote. I did it a couple weeks ago. I'm gonna quote our fearless leader, the Podfather. If you are relying on Will Levis, you're fucked. I just don't. I'm not in.
That is a quote, by the way. That is a
that's verbatim. I don't. I've seen one game, and it was 4 touchdowns, and then it was just a bunch of nothing that suggests that it's going to help me out. Now, wide receiver core does seem to be improved. He's going to grow. He's worth a stab, but I feel like there's still a lot of people that like Will Levis more than I am willing to pay for him. So he is a purge for me. I'm out.
For me, he's a purge if you have to have him as your QB2. But if you have him as your QB3, I am more than fine with keeping Will Levis, because it's easy to go back and do these one-to-one comparisons. We're guilty of it. Everybody in Dynasty does it, because you're looking for that outlier. It's the exception that proves the rule. And I don't want to be that guy, but it's Jordan Love all over again. Every year, like the quarterback with shitty mechanics and can't complete a pass, everybody, this next Josh Allen. Like there's been one Josh Allen. I've heard that this is the next Josh Allen since Josh Allen. It doesn't work that way. But we saw this last year with Jordan Love, a guy who came in, played sparingly, had some weird, some weird games, some bad games, some good games. That's Will Levis. What I will say about Will Levis is that he's a lottery ticket. And I like the Brian Callahan offense. I think the offensive line will be improved. They've added Calvin Ridley to DeAndre Hopkins. They brought in Tyler Boyd. They brought in Tony Pollard. I will say this. If you were like me and you're invested marginally heavy in Will Levis as your QB3, you will at least know this year whether or not you got a prize on your hands. Because if he can't do it, he can't do it in year 2 with this, because I always bang on your boy Tua. Now in fairness to Levis, he didn't get Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. He got the Walmart version of that with old DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley. Sprinkle in a little.
They're not bad though. So the opportunity is there. Like I'm not saying it's not. It's just I haven't seen enough. I don't know if he can consistently get those good wide receivers the ball enough. I just haven't seen it. If it happens, I won't be totally flabbergasted. There is a possibility. That's why I think the smartest thing you said is if he's your QB3, it's fine, because he's either going to hit tremendously or he's going to be dog crap and you can cut bait and it's fine. But if you are relying on him to circle back around, you fucked.
Well, again, I'm advocating for him as a lottery ticket QB3. If you got to start him every week, you probably got headaches. I do want to discuss Will Levis at the end of the show. It will not be family friendly. We'll cover that here at the end. I want to cover one more quarterback and a couple of these tight ends.
Okay.
Let's talk about the guy I share a last name with, Mr. Bryce Young. And what do you think about Bryce Young? Because I'll just go ahead and go first on this one. I feel very much the same way about Bryce Young as I do, except he didn't get the weapons help, right? He didn't get Tony Pollard and Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd and an improved offensive line. Well, they kind of addressed the offensive line. I mean, he got Xavier Legette. It's not exactly. I know people don't love Calvin Ridley, but I same thing. I like the Dave Canales offense. By the way, you used to say Jimmy Garoppolo was the most handsome man in the NFL. And Dave Canales would like a word. So the ultra handsome Dave Canales as the head coach, offensive play caller, I give Canales partial credit with helping resurrect Baker's career last year. I think he'll create a quarterback-friendly offense. I would absolutely love. Yeah, John in the chat, thank you for correcting me. Deontay Johnson, not bad. Yeah, I'll take Deontay Johnson any day of the week over Calvin Ridley. So I just think there's upside there.
I mean, I agree, but I don't have a solid argument for it, because if my argument was that I haven't seen it for Will Levis, I mean, all you got to do is look at what Bryce Young did. Oh, there's a 100-yard game, 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 300-yard game, 100-yard game. So I don't have any sound advice for you, Randy. I am taking stabs on Bryce Young as my QB3. I thought he was a better prospect. His draft capital clearly had him better since he literally got drafted before CJ Stroud. I wouldn't have done that, but I'm going to take some stabs. But also, if you're out, I will absolutely not give you any guff for it because I understand and I believe it and I hear you. And yes, I too like DJ more than I like Calvin Ridley. But after that, you got rookie Xavier Legette is going to be going against DeAndre Hopkins in the Will Levis. I was trying to think of the alligator, which the hungry alligator, which one is better? I'm going to take DeAndre Hopkins, the hungry alligator, over Xavier Legette. And now, if you're listening on podcast, you have no fucking idea what I'm talking about. If you are watching on YouTube, hopefully I know what you
always
understand. You understand. You know what I'm talking about? The little bracket, the greater than.
Yeah,
That's a little hungry alligator.
Yeah, you used to teach them to put little teeth on them.
Yeah,
you eat the bigger side. That's how this works. All right. Yeah, I will say. Let me ask you a quick. Would you rather?
Okay.
Would you rather have Bryce Young, or would you rather have Bo Nix?
Yeah, that's a shitty thing. I'd probably rather have Bryce Young.
Okay. I mean, to me, I like Bo Nix. Bo Nix was way overdrafted, but sometimes you just got to get your guy. I dig it. Carolina can't change the fact that, woulda, coulda, shoulda. You got your guy, but both guys will play a very similar role. Again, another guy we're always chasing is Drew Brees. If you can just be functional in some of these high-level offenses, they'll be okay. I have no problem with Bryce Young as your QB3. I want to get into a couple of tight ends, and then we'll go to the adult-only portion of this program. Where are you at with Luke Musgrave? Because I'm looking to acquire Luke Musgrave. I think he's a better athlete. I think he's a better player than Tucker Kraft. I heard a rumor, and I couldn't substantiate it, that he got hurt lifting weights and maybe popped a pec tendon, but I can't find anything on Twitter or anywhere else to confirm that. If that was true, then it's a huge buying opportunity on Musgrave. But I like Musgrave. I think he's a guy that I'm looking to get cheap in, like the league we're in, where we got to start 2 tight ends, tight end premium. I've already sent an offer. I'm hoping they don't, smell out a rat, because I'd like to get some cheap, because if you gave me the choice right now between like a Luke Musgrave and a Ben Sinnott, I think I'm going to lean Musgrave. Okay, Go ahead.
No, I'm fine if you want to take a shot on Musgrave, but I'll take Ben Sinnott in that situation.
Ironically, they're literally stacked on top of each other, not in a weird sort of a way, but they're stacked on top of each other.
That's the Will Levis conversation later.
Yeah, we're heading there. We're don't bury the lead, Jerry. But they're ironically in the teens, right next to each other in the rankings.
Yeah, I'm fine taking a shot on Musgrave. I'm a Tucker Kraft guy because he's cheaper, and I think they're both the same. I honestly think neither of them are going to be worth all that much, just because there are a lot of people in Green Bay. Nobody has emerged as sort of that guy, and we've seen that Jordan Love does diversify the rock pretty well. So he's just going to find whoever it is, and I think it'll be like a boring 3 for 46 type, which in the tight end world of Dynasty, that's fine. And that's good enough. That's playable. As gross as that says, or as gross as that is, but so I'm fine. I'm cool with it either way. If I have him and I know you're in my league, though, I know you like him more than me, so I'm gonna purge him for sure. But also, I'm fine if the person that just has him because they took him in the 4th round or wherever they took him last year, and they're happy to be done. I'm fine with that. Always take shots on tight ends.
Where did Luke? So where was he actually drafted in the NFL draft? Pick number what of the 2023 draft?
I don't know. I think he was a
between like
rounder.
1 and 212.
What is a third? Yeah, probably like 80 something.
Try 42. He was
Oh,
the
was he
11th
second
pick.
round?
He was the 11th pick of the second round, and there was only 31 picks in the first round because
Am I thinking of
Dolphins.
Tucker Kraft? Maybe
Dolphins.
he went there.
Dolphins going to Dolphin. Jerry, do you like Player Profiler?
I do.
Okay.
Pay the bills.
You know they rank athleticism over at Player Profiler.
They do.
And in the history of Player Profiler, they've ranked 478 tight ends by athleticism. Where do you think Luke Musgrave ranks in athleticism among the tight end position? He's number 1 to 478. Where is Luke Musgrave?
No idea.
18.
Okay.
He's in the top 3 or 4% of all from an athleticism standpoint. I'm just saying there's a lot to like about Luke Musgrave. The thing that I don't like is the target ambiguity. Tucker Kraft, I get it. I just we're chasing a lot of positive things: athleticism, good offense, good coach, emerging quarterback, and you can get him so cheap. It's just hard for me not to be an advocate.
Which I'm fine with. Absolutely take your spots on.
Did I blow you away
especially-
with some stats?
I mean, a little bit.
Shocked about how good of an athlete he is.
No. Because I
Shocked.
went down a rabbit hole of Oregon State's offense when Michigan State hired their head coach. So I did watch quite a bit of Mr. Musgrave, and he's fine.
Well,
he's good.
Let's go down one more rabbit hole before we talk about what. Hold on a second. Let's talk about Dalton Kincaid. This is Theo's guy, currently the tight end 4 on the Player Profiler Dynasty tight end rankings. What are your thoughts on Dalton Kincaid?
I need to see him get more touchdowns, but that said, he should have the opportunity. Stephon Diggs isn't there anymore. Gabe Davis isn't there anymore. The guy that got to replace him is a rookie. I could see that. I mean, if there's one person in that offense who Josh Allen is currently comfortable with, it is Kincaid. And as a rookie, had damn near 700 yards. So clearly he liked him and is ready and has done well enough to prove that he is a man that is built for this league. Yeah, I don't know about tight end 4. That's a little steep for me at this point, but
A little rich.
yeah, but I mean, with the state of that position, I guess, and his age and his quarterback, I mean, it does make sense. It just caught me by surprise a little bit when I heard it.
Yeah, I think there's so much room to grow in his stats. I mean, 91 targets is good. I mean, that's what, almost 6 a game. I think that I'm doing the math right there. Almost 6 targets a game. 73 catches. So he catches a high percentage of the balls that comes his way, but he only converted 2 touchdowns. And touchdowns are not necessarily sticky year over year, and we have to look at how many targets are now gone from this offense. I mean, it's one thing to say that, hey, Stephon Diggs is out of this offense, but like him or not, Gabe Davis has gone out of this offense too. And I believe we'll see more of Dawson Knox lined up in line, and you'll see a ton of Dalton Kincaid in the slot. And they have seemed very copycatish over trying to copycat what the Chiefs do. And I'm not saying that Dalton Kincaid's going to be Travis Kelce, but if the Bills were to attempt to use him in a Travis Kelce fashion, I would be 0% shocked. So he's expensive. I don't know that I would pay tight end 4 prices for him, but at the end of the day, I think he's someone who's definitely going to surge.
I am with you, but I'm also with our dear friend Harry Snowman, who says, I think people are overly discounting Knox. I think they are. I do think he has a pretty good role. He's the cheaper of the options and is a nice little stab to have. But I'm with you. I also wouldn't be surprised if Dalton Kincaid like outperformed Trey McBride. And I know that's sacrilegious to some people, but I mean, we're talking about a dude who had 73 catches as a motherfucking tight end as a rookie. And if the wide receiver core has gotten worse since then. Like, I mean, if we see 90 catches, would we really be that blown away by it? Like, I don't think we would. And if that's the case with Josh Allen, holy hell, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
Well, the difference between, like we were just talking about Green Bay with Luke Musgrave, is that Green Bay also has Tucker Kraft. That's your guy, but they've also got Reed. They've got Dontavian Wicks, who people are excited about. They got Christian Watson, who's learning how to run again, which is curious. But they've got like a bunch of different weapons. Like you could see a lot of 11 personnel, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end. And in Buffalo, if they ran a ton of 12 personnel, 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, would you be shocked given the current state of Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakur, Dalton, Kincaid, and Dawson Knox? Would that surprise you if those were the 4 pass catchers on the field quite a bit?
Not at all.
So that's what I'm saying. Both things can be true. Dawson Knox can be fine, usable, like in 2 tight end formats, and Dalton Kincaid can be a megastar because there's not other weapons to take away from the potential targets that, like I said, if Kincaid plays the role of a big wide receiver, that's just money in the bank. If he plays that Kelsey style role, you are going to love it. Again, I think wide receiver 4, a little high. I'm sorry, excuse me, tight end 4, a little high, but I don't hate it. So I do think he's going to surge. So there you go, Jerry. Now, this is the portion of the program where if you got the kiddos in the car, maybe you don't have your AirPods in at work, and now's a good time to say thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week. By the way, Theo Grimminger's stopping by next week. Speaking of good people, be a good show. But did you see, not the actual tape, but did you see that Will Levis has a sex tape out there with Gia Duddy? And if you don't know who Gia Duddy is, she's the absolute smoke show that was sitting next to him on draft night.
Yeah, I did not know who that was. I found out.
Yeah.
I found out about the tape.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, it's one of those things.
Will Levis,
it's like I gotta respect it.
He's just
but I don't want my quarterback doing knucklehead shit like that.
He's always in the news about some.
Besides playing quarterback.
Like it's always putting mayo in his coffee or eating bananas with the peel or having sexy time. I mean, bless his heart. It's, I mean, bro is a confident man too. So good for him.
I just like, because like I'm a everything speaks kind of guy. Like everything matters a little bit. That coaching situation's not that bad. I'm like I get it. I get that like the phone and the camera and everything are just so much more readily available now than they've ever been. And we're only on the way to more. So I don't think this will be the last time we see something like this from an NFL perspective. Like you've heard other rumors of NBA players and other football players. So it's going to keep popping up. What are possible names of the title of the sex tape? That's a fair question, and maybe we'll answer that next week.
I am gonna guess.
Theo.
Like, just imagine you're him though. Like, you just got sacked, and you've got just this giant man that just pummeled you and brought you to the ground. What, you think he's not going to mention it, bro? You're gonna have to hear that every single game, all year, every time you do anything stupid.
Yeah, it's like when Jimmy G. And that could be the career arc of Will Levis. Jimmy G, was out dating a porn star. And I get it. Everybody has lives. I will just say this. I'm the old guy. And I can say that I am very happy that I did all of the stupid shit in my life.
Media. Yeah.
But before social media, before camera phones, before everything's caught on camera. I would just say that you never know where that video is going to wind up. I don't know. How could we not cover it? Harry's telling me in the YouTube chat that we should have saved this story for Alan Seslowski on the Sonic Truth. If you don't listen to the Sonic Truth, Alan's a bit of a super freak. But we got to the story first, Jerry.
It's true. And it's something, it's a lighter topic than a lot of things going on right now. So I'll take it. It's a nice break, at least.
It's a slow news time in Dynasty. We are talking Dynasty fantasy football. We're in June. Did you really think the sex tape wasn't going to come up? Now,
And we're
again,
children. Like let us live our life.
Yes, it's locker room talk. We're not being disrespectful or disparaging. We're just merely
No,
saying
I called
like,
him a confident man. I gave him his due diligence.
and even I can be honest and stay true to who I am. Like I can respect it, but I don't love the knucklehead factor. But speaking of the knucklehead factor, man, we're going to bring old Theo on next week. Now, normally Theo tells me that when he comes on the show that Jerry ducks out. And I was, like, hey, Jerry, have you thought of an excuse to not be here next week? So it's just me and Theo. But it sounds like you're going to be here.
I will be here.
You will be here.
There will be one Sunday in June. I'm going back to Michigan. I don't know if I'll be back for, but I will be here next week.
Well, there you go. And so will Theo.
I know. I'm sorry to disappoint him.
So we will wrap this one up. We just want to remind you real quick. Thank you to all of you who are watching, listening. We really appreciate it. Remember our sponsors, Dynasty Dominator, Underdog. Last thing, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/Dynasty WarZone. Join up. We'll maybe do one more startup before the season gets going. And in the off season, we'll have rookies. We tend to try to get the rookies taken care of at our cost, but you got to be a patron. It's $5 a month. It's super cheap. Dynasty WarZone, patreon.com/Dynasty WarZone. Jerry, I don't know what we'll talk about next week, but it'll be Dynasty fantasy football related and sex tapes.
And I was going to say, and sometimes that involves sex tapes. So,
all right. Well, I'm going to go read through the comments because there's a lot of funny people in the comments. You should go to YouTube to read the comments because some of the comments I can't read or put on YouTube. So go over to YouTube, read the comments. Thank you for tuning in. Give the video a like, give us a subscribe. And on behalf of my man, Jerry, you can follow him at JerrySinDWZ. You can follow me at DWZ Memphis. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.